pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice and all. Additions, adjustments to the agenda, I have two. One would be to have an executive session for employee matter. Yes. And the other one, I would like to add brush hogging to the new business category for number 3. Pauline, do you have any additions or adjustments to the agenda? Terry? So we'll approve the minutes of June 9th.
I wasn't here, remember I came in late, so I can't make a motion.
Oh, okay, so I've already seconded it.
Okay.
It's passed.
So move.
Speak up a little, please. The AC on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Public comments, communications with citizens. Start from the left to the right. Ray?
Yeah, I just want to touch base again about the loans for the fire department and make sure that I understand, because I did another public records request. And when you made that motion to do that loan, Rich, you and Mary Santaw, you also, in the minutes, it stated that you requested that she seek out to make sure that you didn't need to warrant a special meeting and then you had the right to make that loan. Through the public records request, I found out she did not do that, which means that the motion you carried that evening was not followed through on properly, and you just went and got a loan. With the bank's approval, the bank approves anybody who wants to come and get a loan for 5 years. You did not go to the voters. This is your third time that I'm aware of. Dumb. How many loans have you gotten for the fire department since you've been a trustee?
Me personally, none. As far as the board goes, the board, I think the one that I know of is for the gear that you're talking about.
So you, as the chairman of the board, made a motion with the only other board member present, you being a member at the time of the fire department and her being married to a lifelong fire chief to the fire department, which again is unethical. Made a motion without voter approval to go get a loan, increasing the budget. Again, that we as voters had already approved. Where did you find you had the authority? You say you were put on the board to get loans. That's what you responded
I'm not
last
sure
time.
if we have to answer these questions every meeting, and if you think we're going to change our minds on the answers of the questions.
Well, the more times I get you to put it on record that you illegally got this loan, the more evidence you're drawing into the fact that you did it.
Okay.
And I warned you that night that your qualified immunity would leave you, and that's what made you make the motion the way you did.
Okay.
You requested she follow in and contact somebody. Now I want to know where you and her and who you contacted. And you don't seem to come up with anybody. Your answer to me was you were put on that board to get loans for the fire department. and it's on record, you answered me that way.
I'm pretty sure I've never said that I got on this board to get loans for the fire department, thank you.
You were put on this board to get loans, that's what your answer was.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is,
No,
it's on
it's-
record, I have video record of it.
Anything else?
Absolutely.
Okay.
In last meeting, you discussed how you got grant money for Hill Street only. So you, when you applied for that grant, if I go get a public record, you're going to say for repair of Hill Street? Or just for storm damages? Do
Okay,
you
so
recall what that grant was? I mean, it's on the minutes, you discussed
the
it
grant,
last
the grant
meeting.
was to repair the storm damage on Hill Street, correct?
And that's what the grant was applied for, to repair Hill Street damage,
Correct.
not storm damage. You
That
recall
was-
how that was filled
that
out,
was-
right?
that was
Special
storm damage.
funding available because of the storm through the river.
Right, no, I understood what it was for.
Yeah,
It was for storm damage,
but it was only
and when you
a-
applied for the grant, you applied for Hill Street,
That's
correct?
correct.
All right, thank you.
Where it was most needed. It had to have had, there was certain specifications and
It was
things
storm
that had to
damage.
be covered.
Runoff from storm damage and
It couldn't
damage
be
to...
just anything, and it was a one-time payment. and
No,
that
I
was
understood
where
that. It was
specific.
grant given out from
And it
town
was a
for...
limited amount
It
of
was a
money.
very
There
limited
was
amount
a-
of money.
There was a very low
Right.
upper limit on it.
Right, I just wanted to know if it was applied for just that project, for the
Yes.
storm damage, for that section. Otherwise, if you applied for a grant for storm damage, then it was pretty biased of you to just apply to one section of the village for
That's
damage.
Right.
So if the public records show that it was applied for that project, I guess you're legal to do it that way.
Yeah.
That's all I asked. You can move on, I'm done with my questions.
Okay, thank you,
You've incriminated yourself enough for one night.
thank you. Steve?
Yeah, just a question. I see that the people down the street here are rebuilding their barn with a steel building. And that, I wasn't aware, I wasn't around when you guys fought that fire. What with that place being that close to a hydrant, did you guys have problems? Did you encounter any problems when you went to that fire?
Well, that'd be a question for the fire department.
Well, I mean, Reg. I mean, was there a problem with the hydrants? Not enough guys showed up?
No, we have plenty of guys, we have plenty of water.
Plenty of guys, plenty of water. Was there flammable? I mean, was it full of flammable stuff?
That's a, what's the question? I mean, what are you trying to get at?
Well, I was just wondering, it seemed like it sustained a lot of damage.
And buildings do sustain damage with fire.
Yeah, I realize this, but, you know, it being that close and with all the water, I was just wondering how it sustained that much damage. I didn't know if you guys ran into any problems, or if you had a problem with enough men showing up or what.
I think you said that's not plastic.
No, that's for the fire department, that's fire department questions, I'm here as a board
Yeah.
trustee.
But that was about it.
All right, so moving on. So now we will do our executive session before we get into the rest of the agenda.
There's no exec session listed here.
I added it to the agenda when, under the additions and adjustments.
Additions and adjustments.
We did when you were outside, when you brought the meeting to order.
Oh, I'm
That's what
sorry.
we did. We added it.
Did, well, you have to state any action taken anyways, right?
Yes,
Correct.
yeah, absolutely.
So we'll move into executive session. Motion made to up the pay raise for the village clerk from $12 an hour to $15 an hour. It passed. So water sewer, Shawkat Railroad Street. Terry, you were looking into this over the last couple weeks.
Yes. So what I found was, find it. Here somewhere. I need to find it anyway. So what I found was the delinquency of water and sewer for Ernest Choquette's property was delinquent from 2009. It was sold at a tax sale in 2010, not redeemed. So at the end of the one-year redemption in 2011, 5 days later, Ernest Choquette bought it from Winston Jennison, who had bought it in the tax sale. At that point, the water and sewer fees were included in the amount of that delinquent tax sale, but for whatever reason, the clerk that was here did not clear out the delinquent water and sewer from that account. And it's continued every month to have interest added regularly. And it should have been cleared out way back when. Years ago, my sister remembers a conversation with Ernest, and he even threatened a lawsuit because it should have been covered. And I called and spoke with Bill Davies about tax sales and the way they work, and he says, you know, you'll see in the records, it should not even be there anymore. It should have been cleared at the time of the tax sale. And it wasn't, and it was none of us, other
Okay.
than going back and looking, and it was included in the amount of the delinquencies, because the delinquent taxes, it was a DF property. The delinquent taxes on the DF property were cleared. The water and sewer were not cleared and should have been.
So the lien that we were told was put on that property, there is no lien on it, and we were lied to? Is that what you're telling me, Jared?
What lien? I found no lien.
We were told that there was a lien by the assistant treasurer of this village at a village meeting, at a trustees annual meeting when I brought it up then. So
I found nothing.
our assistant treasurer is lying to the taxpayers?
I don't have an answer for that. I don't, I just know what
So
I
you
looked
found
at.
no evidence of a lien being placed that I have on video record, and somebody stated?
I can go,
that it's
I
an
didn't
employee
look
here.
for a lien because it doesn't appear like there ever should have been a lien based on what I saw.
So
That's
the
all I
property
can say.
was Ernest, you're telling me?
The property was bought by Winston Jennison at the tax sale
From who?
from Dietz. It was a Diet home originally.
Okay, so Ernest didn't
Ernest
at
bought
any
it
time had no
from-
water sewer going on at that property before it got torn down, and none of this? So
I have
this
no idea.
extended bill from 2009
2009 was
was
the
where it
old
originated
fees.
from? Did you see it from?
That's based on what I saw it from, yes, and the
Okay.
rest of it was interest, correct, April? 2009 was back in the original.
Okay.
And then
Thank
it's
you for
not.
clarifying. Thank you very much.
So.
Now, a question, if I brought evidence forward that one of the employees at this village's level was representing a lie like that, what would you as trustees do to an employee that would represent the taxpayers that way?
I don't-
We don't have an assistant treasurer now.
So
As far
Becky
as I
Sarian
know.
no longer works for the village?
She's inactive, she hasn't, I don't know if she's given her resignation.
So she's
but
in
we
the book.
Don't use her any
That we were sent out this year?
Yeah, we haven't had an annual meeting yet either.
No, I realize
so
that you
was
sent
gonna
out an
change.
annual book. I realize we haven't had an annual meeting, I didn't even bring that up.
Yeah, but, yeah.
So that's just clarifying to understand that if I brought you evidence, I mean, now,
honestly-
I certainly
I don't
wouldn't want to have an
know. You
employee
may
that
have
would
more
represent the
history than I
village in
do
that
on
way,
this.
especially under financing. You know, because this went on for a long time.
Yeah.
And she represented every time I brought that up, when we had all this debt in water and sewer and bad bills being paid, and they went and raised rates. You two didn't, but the chair did, raised water and sewer rates. And we have all these delinquent fees that weren't being collected and whatnot. And we're trying to get a handle on it, I was told. We're in year 9 now, of me trying to see where the handle got a hold of this. And then we relieved somebody from the whole village as an employee because we were told that they weren't being honest with us. Well, we've gone through 2 other trustees since then, and now we're looking into water sewer, and I'm finding I've been lied to.
I'm not,
I know you're not gonna say or
I didn't look for a
acknowledge that.
lien, I have no reason to be looking for a lien.
Okay. I mean, that was my question when this subject came up, was the fact that a piece of property, a lien was put on it. We were represented to by a village employee that that's what occurred.
I was gonna say, I hate to just say somebody lied flat out.
No.
No, I understand that they
No, we're not going
misrepresented,
to.
that's a good phrase to use. Somebody
I'm-
misrepresented that knows the numbers and knows the fact and spoke up as if they knew the fact. And the board that was here at the time accepted her as fact.
I don't know.
When
that
I do
either.
public
I'm not gonna
records and you
comment.
as a board give me evidence that is supposed to be fact, and I look into it and find that it's not, you can look at it as misrepresentation, ignorance, not knowing the answer. She looked into
Or
it.
just getting.
She found the answer.
No, I found a answer.
Right, the truth.
They,
What
I don't
public
know,
records
did
show.
I?
What
Did I?
public records show.
What I'm saying is, I think I did everything I would have done
Absolutely.
to try to find something.
That's more than I've
So
ever
I
gotten
am
from
in a
anybody.
position at this point, if the board is agreeable, to make a motion to abate those taxes because of clerk error many years ago, or someone's error many years ago.
Or
But if
oversight,
you,
yeah.
oversight, whatever you wanna call it, if you aren't prepared to do that, we can hang on to that. But you know, I don't, we're gonna spend as much if, I
So
don't know.
let me second that motion and then we'll discuss it.
Okay,
So, second motion, now we can discuss.
okay.
I mean, obviously, like, I agree with you that if it was a clerk error back in 2009,
Or
2010.
prior to, whatever, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's nothing that we can really do from there. And if it was paid off, and from what you looked at, like if it was part of that tax sales, then there's nothing that we need to keep track of.
What concerns me, if I may make a comment, when we do a tax sale, money is handed to somebody, correct? Where's that money go from there? So if we had a tax sale and you're saying that money was paid and the water and sewer bill could have came clean, when we had an audit at one time that said revenue was missing out of the water and sewer department, and the board, former board, did nothing to investigate that. This brings clear evidence that this may show possibilities of, well, clear more revenue. Because Terry, why would that not be if somebody sold that property and cash changed hands and that water bill got paid and somebody came to the clerk, gave her money, and she would have had to take that cash and shown it receipt, and then shown it deposited, and then shown it on the account of the water,
Which it would
okay?
have been.
So there's
Would have been
three
with
checks out.
taxes and-
There's three balances there.
There's many.
There's three balances there, but yet here we are all these years later, and you're the first person that can investigate back to 2008 and telling me that's where you find this originates from a tax sale, and it was paid. Well, then you should be able to go in 2008 with the paperwork you have and go to that book and open it up and see the receipt of payment for that water and sewer debt. It's a paper trail. It's a treasurer who's supposed to do that. And if we directly assign one person to do all three jobs, the treasurer, the clerk, the assistant clerk, or whatever, then the job doesn't get oversight. And errors like this get made. But there's evidence somewhere that if you say, and I'll do the public records if I need to, because there's a receipt book that should have shown.
I'm not
A
gonna
receipt.
comment. I guess if.
I mean, I agree with what you
If
found
want me to
here.
look further, I'll look further.
It's not a matter of looking further,
I just-
Terry. You did what I've asked of you. My point being, But you see my
think there's
point?
more out there, I don't want to have missed something. So if you feel it necessary for me to look farther, we can look farther. We can,
I'm good on what you found.
I mean, I'm ready to get the debt on that water department clear. So in doing this, you understand,
because legally, either way, in my mind, and if Ernest got it in 2011, the delinquencies were 2009. He bought it from somebody else. It's not, I mean, yes, he owns a property, so he has a responsibility if it's owed, but yet,
It's
he
not his.
didn't, it wasn't his usage, it wasn't his water, it wasn't his connection during the
how many
time
other bills
that-
on there are there like this?
None, actually, I went through them.
So all of them are up to date
So-
with legal residents.
Any further discussion on the motion?
I have a question, real quick. Does this former employee still have keys and passwords to any of our accounts and stuff?
It's not an issue.
I have no reason to think that something was done wrong at all.
So after,
No, it's just a
no
question.
further, no
Yeah,
further,
there's no nothing
discussion on the
behind it.
motion, all in favor? Aye.
So now that will be credited into the department somehow out of the general fund, correct?
That's going to be just wiped clean.
No, no, but there's a debt owed to the water and sewer department from that property that is separate and apart from what you just made a motion to. I can't hear you. Could you please speak up? It's a public
I'm telling
meeting.
him how it works as far
I
as
understand, but
what we
please
do.
educate everybody in the room. It's an open
Quiet, I
board
will.
meeting. I'm sorry. I've had to ask you several times. Steve's asked twice. Please speak up when you're addressing each other. Thank you. I'm sorry for the outburst.
There can be an audit adjustment in utility billing and explains it all out, and the auditor gets a copy of it and understands everything that we did. And it just reverses the charges that have been on that account with an explanation of why.
Is that something that April does or the auditor? April can do
April
it?
will do it,
and
have
then-
it ready for the auditor. Yeah, I can help you do that.
All right, so moving on to unfinished business, pick the paint color for the building.
Okay, this is the color that it is now, and he's had it in his truck, so it's a mess. This is roughly the color that it is now. If you change, and this is just one sample, because I had another one, actually. If you change much, you're going to spend more money, because it's going to be 2 coats. Even if it's darker, he said especially if it's darker, because you can't get it, you're gonna have bleeding through, you know what I mean, you're not gonna get it. So I don't know what you're. You don't have that, sorry.
That's weird. I was always told that darker covers light.
Darker
easier.
covers light, but if you cover it, you could still see some light underneath it, depending on the color you go darker. That's what he said.
If you only have one coat.
We're trying to get away with preserving the wood without spending too much money to do it, and 2 coats is gonna be more money, but that,
Right.
if we can. The other sample. Doesn't matter, we can look at samples if you want to. Guess I should have brought more.
I mean, if that's,
Can we get you a bigger
I
bag?
really
Terry?
don't care. I mean, it would have been nice to maybe change up the color just
Yeah.
because it's been the same color for so long.
Yeah,
But we've already accepted his quote
this,
and.
you know, but color-wise, I mean, you, close, I think that might be too dark, you know, I mean, and like I say, there's plenty of paint samples out there that isn't this.
Right,
You
well,
know what I mean?
the
But
other problem, like, I'm sure he's probably gonna run into where he's gonna have to replace some of the boards here or there.
he thought the cedar looked pretty good, but he said, you know, he's gonna scrape it, he's gonna prime it,
Yeah.
and then 1 coat over everything, you know?
So, I mean, I don't care if we stay with the same color, I just wanna, to start looking respectable.
Yep,
Do you know if it's with a compressor or with a brush?
I think he does both.
Does he do both?
Yep.
Spray goes real quick.
Lee, you got any comments for the paint?
No, I don't care what color.
This was a no-bid contract, right?
He gave us a bid. He
Yeah,
gave
but
us
I
a-
mean, we
an
never put it
estimate.
out to bid.
No, we don't, we don't have a policy for putting things out to bid.
No, God,
Unless
no,
it's
we wouldn't do
highway
that.
stuff, and then they do it.
All right, so yeah, so I mean,
Why would
I guess that we'll remain with the same color as what we have, that way.
It's similar, you know, I might
Yeah.
not be the exact, but you can match it, you know.
Does it have a name, Terry?
The similar one is called Windjammer.
Windjammer. All right.
All right. Okay, so unfinished business, Dominion Ave property. Aline,
Okay, so biggest problem with the Dominion Ave, I've got the survey. a lister's card, and I got the map, and I got one of the deeds,
Speak up a little, Arlene, please.
so. Okay, so the biggest problem is I cannot find the words right of way anywhere, and I went back to 1880 something in the deeds. And in fact,
Is that this property right
Would you
behind us?
have, would you have to look, on the railroad's property for that? It might not be on the village,
oh,
it might not be on the village's property.
They got a
as
right
far
of way
as
across the railroad.
this deed goes. But
Yeah.
it might be the adjacent property where the railroad owns that has those words, the
Oh.
right of way.
I looked that one up, yeah, I didn't think of that.
You looked that one up too?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you
I
did?
didn't
Oh,
think of
okay.
it. So I could look it up. But the closest one I found is this deed that is for that property, and it says, grantor hereby quit claims any and all right, title, and interest which he may have in and to the present roadway, which provides access to the above described lands and premises, and makes no representation or warranty regarding the existence of a right-of-way over said roadway.
Which would mean it's probably under the railroad's right of way.
Yeah.
It's probably granted through the railroad.
Through the
That's
railroad?
this piece right here behind the building with the little dirt road.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back and look at the
Yeah.
railroad deed.
Yeah, I think they claim something like, what, 30 feet on each side?
More than
More than
that.
that.
So
Like
with-
100 feet, I think, with
with
these
that-
kids,
with that-
I think.
No, the railroad has more than that because it's got all the land under Carson's home and,
Right.
I mean, they own
He's
more
on
than just,
leased land as well.
it's not just a railroad track going through and they ain't own 30 feet.
No,
so,
they're way up yonder.
yeah.
So with the property, other than finding out if there's a right of way here on this property or the railroad's property, is there anything in the deed that states that we cannot sell this property?
There was only one thing, and it was only one deed, and I don't know if it's been resolved since, but that just mentioned water and sewer. So we were gonna ask Carson or myself, probably myself, if we were here. That's if someone were going to buy it and put a building on it, the water and
But
sewer.
didn't it, wasn't it, that was an old deed, right? That was
Yeah.
one of the older deeds, and it kind of more like, didn't it, to me, it sounded not that they couldn't, just that if you ever develop this, you have to
can't
go
put
to
a
the
house on
state,
it
you have
unless
to do
you-
this, and you have to do that.
Right.
That may just be the old wording way back in 1930.
Yeah, that if
You know what
wanna-
I mean? It
If
was
you
a
wanna put a
way, way
building
back.
on it, then you have to comply with
Comply with state
regulations.
regulations.
Well, the
that's-
village has an ordinance, if you're in the village, you have to hook to the water, so there's,
Well,
Yeah.
no, not if it doesn't run, like, I don't know if they could hook up over, that's another question from ourselves. Is could that lot be hooked up to water if there was a correct right of way for a building lot back here?
Well, I
hooked up
think
to water and sewer?
I think it could. It would just probably be on the owners of running their own.
Right,
They would
but
have to
I'm
run.
wondering because of the way Lucille has that thing on her lawn for the flow going up the hill, and it all depends.
Oh, for the sewer?
For the sewer and stuff, like if it's up a little ways, you know what I mean? I know in Troy, it all depends where it is and how you have to get it there, depending on the level, where, you know, if it goes uphill, downhill, or whatever.
Yeah, there's like a one-way baffle you'd have to put.
Yeah, I'm assuming there's a way. It would
Okay.
just be more of an expense if it got too technical. I mean.
Right.
But if it's from the 30s, I think there's a stub already there for the water.
So it sounds like we could sell this property and just have to figure out the technicalities, you know, before we sell it as far as what the contract would be written. You know, is that something that we want to, you know, discuss now if we want to sell it? And then,
My only feeling, if I could just give my opinion of it,
oh, of course.
you know, as far as at the price of things right now, is it worth more to keep it and have that land there for a later date when we don't have a lot of properties and make more money off of it? What
So-
are we gonna, you know, what are we going to, if we sell it,
we're in the real estate
you're
business.
not, no, I'm in the business of why get $5,000 for it and go buy a fan that dies next year, and then we don't have a piece of valuable property, which down the road might be worth 20 to be developed. why would we get some little, and I don't mean it negatively, I'm just saying I'm not acting like we're not a bank, we're not making real estate transactions, I'm just the long term, like,
So
there isn't a.
the only, so one of the things as the board during our last meeting is, we discussed all the properties that we currently own, which there's a lot of properties we own, but most of those properties are not able to sell for one reason or another.
Right.
And the voters were, unanimously saying that they wanted to sell the properties
At the annual meeting.
at the annual meeting,
Yeah.
because we talked about it.
Yeah.
And,
And if they want them.
everybody was in agreement if we could sell this for the revenue and put it back to
Yeah.
whatever year, that's
Mhm.
something they wanted to look at.
Yeah,
In my opinion, like, I agree with you, like, if, it'd be great to be able to have, if something drastic happened, we sold the property, we could take that money and put it in there. But there's not saying that, I don't know what the legalities
we're
of
not gonna
anything.
up and spend it anyway.
Right, like, I don't know if we can throw it into a capital reserve fund somewhere
Mhm.
for something like that, or, replenish whatever. But we don't make a whole lot of money on that land.
No,
And
no, I
it's,
agree.
and it's,
Well, we don't.
and so I had talked to April, obviously too late this year, as far as the lease goes with, Jack, like, I can't remember how much, was it $1,500? $1,500 for all the properties for the village to harvest, like, I know we could probably do a lot better than that by bidding it out to other farmers who are interested, but, because Jack's had that lease for years, and he just sends his money in, and it just keeps re-upping, where, obviously it was late, like, I wanted to try to invite him to a meeting and say, we're looking to up our contract, change our contract to whatever price this year, to see if we could get more money out of it, because it is prime harvest, like, all those fields that, that we own down by the river, and like, was it 100 acres total?
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can't sell that stuff, but if this one lot right here,
How many acres is this, if I may ask?
is it 4 or 5?
Four.
You made a great
You
garden.
got an appraisal for
4.7.
$5,000 on it?
What?
No.
You got,
No,
well, it
I
was just
just-
a number you
No,
said,
it's-
oh.
So,
I was gonna say, I would
like,
pay
So
5,000
my
for it.
concern isn't how much we could sell it for in the future as opposed to now, although I understand your point. My concern is whether we could use this at some point in the future, because it's a nice little piece of land, whether we could use it for a community garden or some kind of recreation area or.
Well, we got 5 acres up on North J Road, we could do that.
Yeah, but this is within walking distance. I think Elaine's got a great point. Because when we had the only problem we had when we had a village garden there was vandalism. And cameras aren't as cheap as they are now.
Right.
And it's great topsoil. We turned it over easy. It's accessible within walking distance
Of
to
the village here.
everybody here. You don't have to hump it up J Road. And you know what I mean? It was a great village garden and make a nice little park.
Well, you still have the old house site, which is probably
Yes.
contaminated and garbage and whatever.
It's a sellable. You drive past it on your way in. It's no big whoop. We pulled all the crap we pulled out of there. We pulled out lawnmowers, engine blocks, hoods, doors,
The other concern that I have is obviously is us, as the board or the village, policing that property, because that property is just getting used and abused right now, and there's not much that is being done or we can do about it. But
What piece of property are you talking about?
putting trespass
Right on the
Where we
other
put
side.
the signs up there?
Yeah.
right behind, like, April's all the way
Yep.
down, that goes all the way down.
The sheriff patrol,
Yeah.
we pay for it.
So that's the other, like,
Yeah. Good job.
there's been interest into the property. That's why we're discussing that, I don't know.
We have no other land that we could use for a park or an open space for people in the village in the future, either now or in the future. The land further down that Jack, rents out, increasing that would be a good idea, but, I mean, if you look to the future, even a park or an access to a nature trail or something.
Don't take this the wrong way, I 100% agree with you, I think it'd be great. The bad part about it is I just don't think it would work. I think we'll run into the same issues. There's still gonna be the same people who are gonna walk around and vandalize that garden. You know, or if we have a park there's gonna be vandalism to it, there's gonna be people who just don't respect it.
Because it's out of the
Oh,
way.
like opening up the village to
You know
four-wheelers.
what I mean?
You
That
know?
worked out great.
Yeah, that's really got lost. That's my neighbor down the road.
The four-wheelers are working out great.
So,
They're very respectful. Put it to the voters.
Have you had the property appraised even, or talked with a realtor?
no, we're still trying to figure out if we could even sell it.
And it's difficult because it is landlocked.
Well,
So-
you haven't found or checked the railroad, so it may not.
Right. So
Right now, the
go
record
back-
you found says it's landlocked.
Right,
Now,
it's
anybody
landlocked,
ever had a
yes.
house on it before? I mean, there's a cellar hole there, so there was a
Oh,
building
they
on it
have
at one
house.
point.
It was a two-apartment one.
And if you look at the survey, it says, it doesn't say right of way, it says existing drive.
Yeah, it's still
It
there.
shows it. Yeah, the existing drive is still there. But that's not a right of way, so
Larry Litchfield was the last one playing with it.
they
It was
may have
when
been
they
using it, the
something there or
railroad
what,
just
and then it
didn't
left.
notice or didn't care, or.
Well, it's probably on their deed to the railroad. I
Yeah.
have a copy of
I
it.
think what I should do is go back and look at the railroad deeds instead of.
So
these
I guess, why don't we, I mean, this is the one property that we have, which it looks like we could possibly sell it.
The one up on North J Road isn't sellable?
Has to be through, no, that 5 acres is locked for a municipality. It has
What's that mean?
it has to be used for municipality purposes,
How come?
the way,
They've given it to
the way
us
we
that way.
received it.
Because it was given to us, we didn't buy it. And in the deed, they specifically said it has to be used for municipal purposes.
So why don't we,
Now, did you say that one up, Steve, did you say that one up there had nice views?
Up on North J Road?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you take out some trees.
yeah, if it got cleared off, it'd be,
That'd be beautiful, it'd be all the way up to the
Right.
valley.
How did that be,
How pretty.
and I'm just talking off the top of my head, like put up picnic tables there and
You have a lot of clearing to do.
What? You'd have a lot of
Nothing's
clearing.
been cleared.
well, Carson don't do anything all day.
That's right, exactly.
You got that new chainsaw a couple years ago.
That we can't find?
The one you can't find.
Perfect, that makes sense, we don't know. We don't inventory
But,
equipment.
so
We
why
don't
don't,
inventory equipment, it goes home with you.
this is my idea, I guess, is, why don't we keep on and try to find if there is a right of way or the existing driveway, that type of thing. Maybe talk to a real estate agent maybe, and just see what the property would go for. And then, then we can come up with either, the idea that if we keep it in the village for a village garden, a village park, dog park or something, and then we'll bring it to others and have them decide if we sell it or keep it for the village,
Yeah,
right? So you'll look into that, and,
I'll look into the railroad.
okay, and so we won't put it back, I guess we won't put it back on the agenda for now unless you find something, and then you just have April throw it on the agenda, we can discuss it again.
All right,
Table it.
That way we don't just
yeah.
keep it under the old business for, or unfinished business every month. That sounds good? Okay. New business. Attaching water sewer delinquencies to property taxes. And I think we got a little bit into this last time. I am not familiar with any of this.
Can I just?
Yes, please.
I sent an email to Bill Davies, and I asked if this year in the tax sale, if with COVID-19, we can put municipalities after December 30, can put utility billing in delinquent tax sales beyond December 31st with COVID-19. And he specifically, I recommend you don't do water and sewer beyond December 31st. those delinquencies remain no matter what happens, don't put them in because, you know, your electricity and all that, anybody doesn't have to pay and all that.
Uncharted waters right
But
now.
he did, in speaking with him, you know, if you're putting in a property that is going in for tax sale because of their taxes, and they also have delinquencies attached to that with a balance as of December 31st, you would put that in with that tax property. So you can put the delinquencies as of December 31st if you're putting a house in.
But
If
not
you're
just for
putting
the
house in.
utilities?
But just not the utilities.
You would include the utilities.
Yeah, but so you just
delinquency to
can't-
December 31st.
You just can't do a tax sale off the utilities.
You could, I guess.
You could, but he's
You-
recommending we don't.
After December 31st.
After December 31st.
And if you look at these, there aren't that many that are that old, other than they're not that expensive for the ones, if you look at your list, I went through the whole list, and it's minimal, you know, it's minimal. If you back off, you're talking backing off, what, 120 days? 90.
So do we
60,
current,
120, 60.
we currently, like if a house goes up for tax sale, do we currently tack on our water sewer charges on there now?
Absolutely.
We currently do?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so we could, after this whole COVID thing passes, hopefully, we could revisit if we wanted to do that. Doesn't the town do that? Does a
The
tax
town.
sale off of the water sewer?
That's right, it's done at the same time as, yeah, we do it, you're talking our town?
Yes.
Yes, they do,
Okay,
yes.
so as of right now, we can keep it the way it is, and then we can revisit this when the COVID.
That's right.
Okay, I have a
Terry.
question, please.
Yeah.
If I may, real
Go.
quick. In the town, if they've got a delinquent water and sewer, do you do like Orleans where you threaten to put it up for,
Yeah, we send letters and tell them that if you're not paid up, it will go to tax sale. You can't shut off sewer, and all of our water line people are on the sewer line.
Yeah.
So they're delinquent in utility billing, and you can't shut off a sewer, so you have to put it, you know, it's recommended by our attorney to put it to tax sale, and they're warned that that will go to tax sale.
so from what I understand, from most all the communities around here, the village is an outlier by not.
No, it's not that they're not. I'm saying because of COVID, we can't.
Oh, yeah, well,
And I
that's-
think in the past, and I don't have land records, but I think in the
The
past,
village did send them in.
that the village did
Oh, yeah.
send them in on a regular basis.
They sent them
Yeah.
in with property taxes.
Exactly.
If they owed
It's normal.
utilities, it went
That's-
up at the same way.
Exactly.
What we were asking was if they just aren't paying their utility bill, why can't we attach it to the property for tax sale? I
Like
mean,
they do on
they're
all
either
these.
gonna lose
We
it on,
can, we can.
but we.
But for this year, we can only go back to the balance as of December 31st.
So I thought that's what the discussion was about, whether you were gonna do that at the beginning when you can, or whether you don't want to do it beginning when you can. Because right now you can't, because of COVID-19.
Right.
So the discussion the board was supposed to be having was to figure out whether or not you wanted to do this, or you don't want to do this. Because
I
the
think
shutting
it's always
off,
been done, but COVID is.
but that's only if the property goes, Terry.
I'm not so sure about that. I know in Troy, that's not the case.
Well,
And I would have to look at the history of North Troy's to see.
it doesn't seem it at this
I'm
point.
not sure.
It doesn't, because there's delinquent water bills like Ernest that went in that home.
I haven't
So
seen
that would have
20
been sent to a tax sale
haven't seen
for
it
having
20
been that
years.
many years out not paying. Do you understand what I'm saying, Terry?
Yes.
Okay, so we're obviously not doing what we've asked if we can do. And I'd like to know whether the board at this point, which is what this discussion I thought was going to be about, whether you want to start doing it for the unpaid water and sewer bills and sending them out for the tax sale and letting somebody buy it out on them.
After COVID.
Because it's the same thing as putting a lien on, after COVID, it's the same thing as putting a lien on Ernest's property for the unpaid water and sewer that I was told was done, that now we found out never got done. And a payment was made and apparently didn't get documented under the three-way payment, so that it got missed all these years. And my other concern is if we're using the water and shut-off properly, and everybody's being fairly treated equally, then properties that are shut off now, there are other ones that should have been shut off as well, that are still on the delinquent list. which evidently shows unfair treatment.
Yeah, I mean, 11 properties, 8
What do you
grand.
want to do with this item? Are we gonna table it till after the COVID, or are we going to, I mean, there's no reason really to make it.
Terry, are you set up with a date for having a tax sale for the town?
Not, it's gonna be the end of September.
Okay.
After our meeting on the 21st, whatever, or 21st, after that meeting, when our board makes a motion of what to put in, they'll all be put in, the motion has to be made, it goes to Bill the next day, and they usually, so many posting days, paper, doing the title searches and everything. It's right around the 25th, 26th of September, every year, usually around the previous tax
And the
date.
village delinquent
And all,
tax
they all
collector
do
will
it all
tell you.
together. Yeah, she sends everything to Bill automatically. She does her own thing, yeah. And I'm looking at all these people just by amounts and how much of the delinquencies are right across the board. And a very, very few of them are beyond 120 days.
Yeah.
Very few accounts are beyond 120 days.
Some are big though. And it still comes up to 40 grand.
Right? Isn't that the grand total that you have, Terry, for over 120 days? It doesn't have a 3-line total at the end of your paperwork?
It could, I haven't got there yet.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
looking at the amounts.
I've got 18 grand over 120 and 40 grand total. That's as of June 9th. And like I said, there's one owner of 11 properties for 8 grand. And with Act 250, they want to keep growth in village centers.
So we have 18,000 that are over 120. And of those, they're only 120 days.
Well, it
So
doesn't
that's
record
not
any
even
longer
half a
than
year.
120.
And from January 1, so the 120, that would have been the billing in December for October, November, December. So it's only 3 months that we're,
That you can see,
A
there's
majority.
some that they not, like whatever payments, it's, well, when you make a payment in the system, it goes to the furthest back,
right.
but they're not making more payments.
Right, but I'm saying, like, I know everybody's referencing Robert Langland's, let's just put it out there. So, on this Railroad Street property, his listings are current, backwards, 328, 322, 334, for a total of 991. So that 334 was for December's bill, for October, November, December.
And if I had sent out the shut-offs in March, like would have been done as normal.
He would have
He
paid
would have
that.
been,
But you can't send shut-offs any more than I can
Right.
right now with COVID. You're not allowed, because even if you sent shut-offs and they didn't pay, he couldn't go out and shut his water off anyway.
I did send a letter saying this is, you're over 60 to 120 days, this is the amount, just so,
That people are aware of their balances.
and people have come in and made payments, I didn't realize,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
hopefully-
Legally, you still have to advise them they have a bill, Terry. Just
Yeah, you
because we
can do
can't
all
shut
you
them off.
can, but you can't shut them off
I
and you
understand
can't do
that, I
anything about
understand
it.
that, but they're still subject to the wrath of the law. In
Yep,
the end, when
they are.
you create a debt, you can still collect the
I'm
debt,
not
just
saying
not
they
right
aren't gonna-
immediately.
Nobody said they weren't gonna pay them either. I'm
Well,
just
and-
saying,
and to
I
say-
don't have such a problem working with these reports the way I do all the time, my personal opinion, if to put somebody in a tax sale in the middle of COVID because they were 3 months late, which is basically what this right here is, because everything stopped with COVID and nobody had to pay anymore.
It could be longer than 3
You know.
months because it only goes up to 3 months.
That's right, thank you.
No, and I agree to that, but I'm saying that you can't shut anybody off right now, so you're limited to what you can do.
Right, we all got that part, but
And
here's
it's
the point.
going to be paid off.
We haven't
It's
been
not
doing what we
next
were
year.
supposed to be doing, or nobody would be this far behind.
Talk
If
to
it-
Verizon, talk to
I don't need to talk to
everybody else.
Verizon, I'm
They're
talking to
all
the three trustees
any
that
utilities.
are associated with operating the budget here, Terry. I don't want to talk about what is.
I'm
My
not
point
talking what
is-
ifs, I'm talking what is.
Okay,
With
we
COVID.
shut people off this year, in the beginning. Did you
Post-COVID.
not make shut-offs this year in the beginning before the COVID? We shut people off last fall,
Turn people back on, I mean,
we're turning them off and on. We've done both?
absolutely.
Before COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my
That's what I'm
point.
saying, with COVID.
If you're
it's
telling
different this
me
year.
Post-COVID.
that bill, and you brought out the name because we don't want to disparage people, and I've been shut down before for doing so, but when there's a bill of over
No, when
$8,000,
you're throwing it, let's not play games.
when
We
there's
know what we're
a
talking
bill
about.
over $8,000 for all these properties, that's from way back October, November, December, and that was the 120 days.
Everybody on here is 120 days, not
My-
just one individual.
So-
Some
have
of
a
those
problem,
billings,
but
some
I-
of those billings should have been shut off, is my point.
If I'm not mistaken, April, right, so when we send out the bills, right, for the shut-off notices, now if that person comes in and pays their minimum balance for that last payment, they're not getting shut off, because now they're within the 120 days. That is how it's done, so I think you are wrong to the fact where you think that person with the 11 properties should have been shut off already, because he hasn't. He shouldn't have been, because if he pays his minimal balance, when he gets the shut-off notice, he is no longer in the window of shut-off.
But here, there's no evidence of payment or attempted payment. You have one property on Main Street that's $2,900 in arrears.
How do
He
you
doesn't-
get
he
from
doesn't
October,
care.
November, December?
He
You
doesn't-
don't see it, Terry? Yours doesn't have that copy on it?
He
Steve has a
doesn't,
copy
he
of it.
doesn't care if it's shut off or not
You're
because
reading
he's,
my mind, you're
but-
that good, I'm amazed.
because it's not occupied. The only way we can get these people attention is to put a tax sale on it and say, hey, $2,900 on one property.
If you're talking about the Main Street property that's got multiple apartments in it, at a restaurant.
66, yeah, that's the big
Yeah,
one.
so when you look at that, you can't go by the amount and say, okay, 2,600 and say, oh, that's gotta be like over a year. You can't, because he pays a lot more bonds, right?
He pays more
At
units.
least one for each
Yes,
apartment
more
unit,
units.
he's got 3 of them, and then he pays.
Okay,
the
well,
rest.
we'll take the single family residence on 113 Main Street.
Okay,
That's
so,
$610.
so we're getting a little off topic. The topic is if we wanted to do delinquent property tax sale, attaching the water sewer to it.
Post-COVID.
So it sounds like when the house goes up for tax sale, we attach water sewer on top of that. From here on out until we are relieved from the COVID restrictions, we don't need to discuss this as if we're going to do it or not until after the COVID restrictions are lifted. So we can table this till after the COVID restrictions are lifted.
And we will put, if you're going for tax sale for real
We already do it. The
estate,
village already has a policy of
we
doing
will
that, Terry.
continue to do that. We just
Correct.
can only do the balance as of December 31st.
Correct.
When it's done.
All right, so moving on to number 2, Bourne's Energy quote.
We have propane here?
April, you have that?
We have propane
Well,
here?
Well, yeah,
I
we
do.
gotta get it for well and all that.
But
Oh, yeah.
I talked to Blanchard's today as well. We're not getting a good deal with Amerigas, just plain and simple. So our average we're paying is $2.42 a gallon. And they charge a $5 stop. Even if they stop here, at the sewer plant and the well house, it's $5 per place. Blanchard's and Bourne's do not charge that. Bourne's will lock us in at $1.96 a gallon. And Blanchard's needs to come look at the kinks and stuff, but they said $1.69 is what they would lock in.
$1.69?
And we're paying average, 242 a gallon.
So do you
That's
have,
what's happened. They
So
have
can-
quotes on this, but they don't on jobs.
do you have to, so they just have to come and check the tanks, make sure the tanks are good?
Yeah, and until I have it, Blanchard, until I have it in writing, like I don't want to say, but I have Lawrence in writing. They said the biggest expense, and we would get reimbursed from AmeriGas for get whatever gas is propane in the tanks, but the biggest expense is putting in new tanks and filling them. But it should offset with the reimbursement from AmeriGas.
What's that fee called, April?
Diesel recovery fee
Diesel recovery fee. For propane.
for their truck delivery.
I'll be damned.
So can, you want to have Blanchard's come check, give them a call?
Absolutely, because if we can get it for $1.69, it's even better than $1.96.
Well, it's better than 242.
$1.96 better than $2.42, but
So if you could have gotten a quote to paint this building for half, that wouldn't have been a good thing either, putting out a job search.
To ease your mind a little bit, I did speak to another carpenter, and the other carpenter's bid was thousands of dollars more than what
So
Langland's
it's
was.
only the people
Just-
you know.
Just
We don't
ease
take
your
ads
mind.
out and get it to the general public.
So-
People who might have work to be able to do it cheaper.
Other-
We're not discussing.
Other business?
No, we're not, you're right. What you're discussing is never on the agenda.
I thought Lawrence Energy quote was on the agenda.
No, we're not
You make
discussing.
motions, but you don't follow through with them, Rich, which makes them illegal. That's what happens.
So there's nothing under other business. Agenda items, date of next meeting?
So, on the energy one, did we come to a decision? We just told you.
We're gonna wait for
that we weren't
Blanchard's
interested. Okay, so
So-
next meeting.
April, was Fred's included in there?
I did not call friends.
And the 169 was from Blanchard's?
169 was from Blanchard's, but I don't have it in writing, so I'm gonna wait until.
I think I'm gonna give him a call.
All right, so. I have August 4th, is a Tuesday, or August 18th.
August 18th, that's a long time.
Yeah,
Someone would
August-
have to.
August 4th is the first week of August.
5 o'clock.
Sure.
8-4, set in stone.
Well, it's not on my phone yet, but it's gonna be pretty quick.
It's already in my calendar.
Oop, in the calendar, so it's set in stone.
Thank you.
All right, financial reports, done, perfect. Bump off.
So,
Is there anything for me, or?
yeah, that's what I was gonna ask,
Okay.
if you came for any particular reason.
No, ma'am, just in case there was anything.
No, I think, yeah, we'll start with Terry.
Well, then I will get back home.
Thank you.
All right, how you guys doing?
Oh, Carson.
Yes, ma'am.
The fee around the building that we're talking about there, the runoff of the
Yep.
NECA building. I think I've got part of it figured out. Stop in and I'll give you I've got to look at the deed for the Historical Society. But I
Okay.
think we'll find some measurements there so you can tell.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think it's gonna probably be from the corner of Pleasant Street down their driveway.
Okay.
But I wanna just check something for sure.
No, it
I'll
makes,
show it to you.
makes sense. I guess there is actually the asphalt at the bottom of North J. So we dug that out today, fixed the risers for those gate valves. And it's not a big area that we have chipped out right now, but instead of doing a little patch inside of a bunch of other patches, I think it'd be better to kind of do that whole bottom of that intersection. Marcel and Dan kind of thought so as well. So if I talked to the town guys, it definitely looks like more than what could be done by hand. So if we have somebody look at it, grades or,
If they take those up again, didn't they just get done last year?
yeah. But they were coming up and getting hit by plows, and Dave Hamill told me his son and ran over and got his tires popped on it. And I believe it, I mean, I was.
Sounds like a good speed trap. Speed bump.
Well, it's right there after that speed bump.
Is that just at the entrance to North J Road, Terry? Where
Yeah.
Whichever direction you go, there's a bump.
And there's nothing we can do with that,
No.
without lifting the culvert,
You wouldn't
right?
believe how many people asked if we were taking.
I'm
that out.
sure, I'm
Every-
sure.
everybody.
Yeah, no,
Well, if we gotta cut it up, and then we can always, we can see what Browns would charge us to repave it. I think they're the ones who did it last time.
Okay,
I mean, if that's something that you have to look into it and then bring it to our next meeting. We'll throw it on, talk to April, throw it on the agenda for water sewer.
okay.
We'll discuss it more then.
And then the striping, like crosswalks and whatnot, I'm gonna look at that striper, but I've never, I'm not familiar with it or anything like that, so, and we are pretty busy, so it might not be the worst idea to see if somebody could do that, but I'll look at it first and see if I can get it running. But other than that, I think I'm good.
Bob Bishop used to run that thing.
Who's that?
I think Bob Bishop
He
used to
did,
run it.
I wondered if he wouldn't show you how.
Yeah.
He had time,
Before he
and
moves
time's
out,
a-
before he moves out of the.
You know, you
Yeah.
gotta have time, and I realize that too. I
Is
realize-
there somewhere to sign on this? Or?
No, that's just everything. that
Maybe
goes in the
Jim
first
Wentworth
batch.
too. if he-